Good morning. Today is Tuesday, the first day of July, and this is Wake Up with KERA News. I'm Andrew Garcia. A new month brings new beginnings, but the weather's staying pretty consistent, at least for Texas anyways. Temperatures will reach up to the mid to upper 90s today, but we'll have some cloud cover and a slight chance for thunderstorms later this afternoon. You may have noticed that prices on things like car seats, strollers, and even grills are all climbing, and the confusion around tariffs is giving some companies cover to charge more. We'll hear more about that in just a moment, but first, the news. A Dallas judge has thrown out Ken Paxton's lawsuit against the State Fair and the City of Dallas over the fair's gun ban. The Attorney General's office argued Dallas officials endorsed the firearm ban at city-owned Fair Park, which would be illegal. But the city and State Fair maintain that the latter is a private nonprofit and therefore is not bound by that state law. The fair will keep its gun ban in place this year. A coalition of more than a dozen parents is suing Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD over alleged violations of the state's open meetings law. The lawsuit claims district officials and school board members held private meetings and concealed information as they moved ahead with a plan to close 4 schools earlier this year. Cadence Valenzuela, former district board member and one of the 13 parents suing the district, says the community was in the dark about the potential closures. The lawsuit calls for the removal of 5 board members and the superintendent. The district told KERA it does not comment on pending litigation. Trade policies under Trump have created a lot of uncertainty. Now, a progressive group says some companies are using that as an excuse to raise prices, even if tariffs won't affect them. Lindsay Owens leads the Groundwork Collaborative and explains why to KERA's Bekah Morr.
Tariffs have obviously created a lot of uncertainty in the economy, and with the more expensive prices that companies are having to pay to get these goods shipped from overseas and into the United States, that comes with price hikes for consumers. But your research has shown that a lot of companies are now taking advantage of this. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I think President Trump's tariff policy, his trade policy, has broadly resulted in what I would call a sort of lose situation for American workers and American consumers. The first thing we're seeing is price hikes. When American companies have to pay more for imports, they pass those price hikes along to consumers. The second thing we're seeing is instability has limited the ability of this trade policy to result in additional manufacturing in the United States. For a company to decide to pick up manufacturing in the United States to increase the supply of domestic capacity in the United States, they need a good sense of where the global markets are headed. What we're not seeing is additional investments in American manufacturing. But the final thing that's happening with the increased chaos in the tariff announcements is that it creates a sort of hazy confusion. And that is the perfect opportunity for companies who maybe actually aren't impacted very much by the tariffs to raise their prices as well.
Do you have any idea where we're seeing the most significant price hikes? Like what products are consumers having to pay more for that they really shouldn't be paying more for?
That's a good question. We have looked into a lot of the tariff price hikes across the economy. There are a couple of places where we're seeing pretty big increases in price. One of the areas that we've spent a lot of time looking at is products for new parents. So these are things like car seats and strollers and cribs. A lot of those products come from China, and companies have gone ahead and raised prices pretty considerably on those products. Another area we've looked into is, products that Americans are going to buy over the summer. So things like grills, we're seeing big price hikes on. We've also looked at things like lawn equipment. These include like lithium ion batteries, which also come from China, and prices for a lot of the lawn and landscaping equipment. People are mowing their lawns over the summer up quite a bit as well.
And is there anything that consumers can do on our end to avoid paying marked up prices, or is the solution more of a regulatory one?
I think there are a couple of things consumers can do, but the most important one is really raise the alarm. We have seen consumers take to TikTok, take to Instagram when they see, take to Facebook when they see a price that doesn't sit well, that doesn't make sense. When they see a company that may be exploiting the chaos in this moment to raise prices more than they need to. And that type of naming and shaming can really have pretty big impacts, particularly for brands who depend on having a good reputation with consumers and shoppers. So obviously, of course, you can always give your member of Congress a call. We're seeing all sorts of oversight and investigations by members of Congress into some of these activities as well. So that's another option.
That was KERA's Bekah Morr speaking with Lindsay Owens with the Groundwork Collaborative. The Rangers fell to the Orioles last night with a score of 10-6, a high-scoring game that even went into extra innings. They'll play Game 2 tonight. Marvel at the different side of nature when you visit the hidden beauty of plant patterns at the Botanical Research Institute. The exhibition features macro images from nature photographer Victor Mosqueda to share nature's intricacies. On view now through mid-September. For more information and some other fun things to do, visit our Go See DFW calendar at kera.org/calendar. Thanks so much for listening to Wake Up with KERA News. I'm your host, Andrew Garcia. This show is produced and edited by Shardae White and Bekah Morr. For more news in your inbox, visit kera.org/wakeup. That's where you can subscribe to the Wake Up with KERA News newsletter and get some good morning vibes from our colleague Catherine Hobbs. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KERATX. You're doing great. We'll see you tomorrow.